just broke my target. What's going on, everyone? My name is Talon Sai and you are watching Sunday GUNDAY. I hope you guys are having a great Sunday so far. I'd like to welcome you guys to my new home range. I recently got connected with some really cool people and you guys will be seeing me filming Sunday GUNDAY videos from right here for the next couple of weeks. Now, my travel schedule has still been crazy, which is why these videos are few and far between. However, I plan on posting one, I believe, every other week as of right now, and once my time sort of frees up a little bit, I think I'll be spending a lot of time out here. Right behind me here we have the flat range. I can work from right up on the targets all the way back to 25 and then back to even 100 yards. And then off to my right here we have a range that is stretching out to, I believe, 600 to 800 yards or something like that. So we'll be able to do some long distance shooting videos here as well. I'm super stoked to bring you guys this content. However, it is still pretty difficult with guns, ammo, and finding all of this stuff. So before we get into today's video, there are two ways that you can support these videos if you want to see them more frequently. Number one, you can check us out over on Patreon. I have one Patreon to support everything that I do under the Sai Productions umbrella with the apparel, my main channel, Sunday GUNDAY channel. You can sign over there for just $5 a month. You get early access to videos, you get exclusive access to the Discord so you can meet the entire community of people who support the videos, and you can also have a one-on-one chat with me if you ever wanted to ask me any questions. The second best way to support, which I've mentioned over on my Instagram, is you guys can check out these barrels. It seems like this kind of went under the radar because I haven't made a full dedicated video on these barrels yet, but with Danger Close Armament, I teamed up with them and designed my own drop-in barrel for the Glock 19. We offer two different versions in both black and titanium nitride, so you can sort of pick your poison there. And what's cool about the barrels is that if you have already ordered one, or if you do choose to pick one up, it greatly supports the channel. It will help me make some more videos, but also, if you have a barrel or pick one up, you will be first in line to be notified about the new TS43X drops and the TS19. I don't have an ETA on when those things will be released yet because it's just so hard to source everything right now. But in the future, if you have picked up a barrel, you will be first in line to get your hands on one of those new pistol builds. Because we keep those sort of limited, if you are not on the list, it will be probably pretty difficult to get your hands on one. So if you're thinking about picking up a TS43X or the TS19 once they release, then I'd recommend going over to DCA's website and picking up a barrel. Now, with all of that out of the way, we're talking about this thing hanging from my chest right here. I've already sort of highlighted this in a video in the past when I was down in Las Vegas where I actually built this pistol. I highly recommend checking out that video right up here. There's lots of machine guns. We even shot like a test RPG launcher. I test fired this thing after I built it, but now I'm going to show you guys the actual complete product with accessories, flashy Cerakote. We're talking about my custom build that I did down with Rifle Dynamics, and this is their 704 pistol. The Rifle Dynamics 704 pistols are all built to order, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to sign up for one of their build classes, you can actually head down to Las Vegas, Nevada, visit them, and build one of these pistols yourself, just like I did. The 704 uses RD's custom front end work with their tunable combo front sight gas block, an Ultimax scope rail, and the RD flash hider. In my case, I opted for a dead air muzzle device because we're obviously going to be running a can throughout this video. I chose to run with an 11.5-inch barrel on this build because with the tunable gas block and a can on there, I can really get this thing dialed in to do just a little bit of everything. The action on this AK is all tuned up by the guys at Rifle Dynamics, the rails, bolt, carrier, and even the trigger group. In my case, I opted for the Battle Arms development trigger. And then as we move a little bit towards the back, you will notice the SB Tactical SBA3 brace, because this is a pistol, of course. And then there's a bunch of cool accessories and different furniture on here. I'm currently running the split fix on the rear in gray, a Lunar Concept sling to match that. Luckily, the SBA3 has a QD mount on the back, and the handguard up front also has a QD mount for any 2-point sling setup. The pistol grip I'm running is handmade by the guys at Evolution Defense Group. And then up on the front rail, I have the Aimpoint T2 Micro, which is one of my go-to optics for a battle-ready rifle. And then on the side, I'm running the Surefire Mini Scout Pro with their new mount. And then I also picked up a pressure switch from Modlite and got this thing dialed in pretty good. Everything on this rifle is looking fairly clean. Now, it's been quite a while since I have filmed a video on a gun that I am so stoked on. I have test fired this build, which you guys may have seen in the previous video, but now that it's all completely done, custom Cerakote from the guys at Rifle Dynamics, we're gonna put some rounds down range and I will come back for first mag impression. Alright guys, back for a first mag impression with the Rifle Dynamics 704 custom build that I put together. There's something just super satisfying about putting every single piece of a gun together. It's not like an AR. When it comes to the AKs, you're sourcing parts from all over the place and you're kind of like refining them and getting them all tuned up to work together. In the fashion that you just saw, this thing is running great. When I showed up to RD, I had a bunch of different boxes of parts and I literally put every single piece in here, piece by piece, rivet by rivet. And there's something just really satisfying about shooting something that you put together with your own two hands. Now, one of the first things I noticed when it comes to like the shooting characteristics of this gun is previously when I was test firing this, I was running the Dead Air Sandman S on here, which I have with me. We're gonna be shooting it with that today, but I haven't shot this muzzle device without that on there. And this thing shoots super flat. I was actually pretty surprised by that. I really wasn't paying much attention to the ports on this brake, but this thing is super effective for a 7.62. Now we might as well just start up front here and sort of work our way back. The tunable gas block front sight post combo from Rifle Dynamics. We got this thing dialed in just after I had put it together and it seems like it's doing pretty well even without the can on there. The ejection pattern looked pretty clean and once I throw the can on there, it may be a little bit overgassed, but it's something that's adjustable. So if I want to run a can on this pistol full time, then I can just dial that back a little bit and get this thing running to my liking. It's a really clean design and it sort of brings the center of gravity back towards you. A lot of AKs, especially with a bunch of accessories on there, can sort of get a little bit awkward to wield. Sometimes they'll be a little bit front heavy, but this thing is balanced pretty damn well. And for an AK, of course, it is a pistol, shorter barrel, it's just gonna be lighter overall. Now we don't need to get into the accessories right now, so we'll move back a little bit further to the Ultimac top rail on there. This is a really clean design, but it's not something I'm particularly used to. Of course, with an AR, you can have your red dot mounted a little bit back closer to your eye. This is the first time I'm running a red dot so far out forward there, and honestly, it's really not that bad. I do have the option to run a side mount on here, but parts like that are increasingly difficult to find just because of the state of the world right now. So I think I will probably just leave it nice and clean and run that thing up there for the life of this gun. On the handguard here, I did add some little M-LOK rubber pieces because this handguard will get hot, especially once I start shooting it suppressed. It gives you enough contact points that you're not putting your hand on bare metal, but at the same time it leaves these side pieces open, that way you can vent some of that heat. I don't even think I mentioned it, but this is actually coming from Midwest Industries. It mounts up really nicely with that Ultimac rail on top, and it's just a really clean looking design. Now moving back a little bit further, you of course have the adjustable sight here in the rear. I got that thing dialed in before I even threw the optic on there, so this is basically co-witnessing with the standard low mount on the Aimpoint T2 Micro. And then as we move back a little bit further, the action on this thing is really smooth. The guys at RD build AKs all the time, so they really know what they're doing when it comes to getting an AK tuned right. We got the proper head spacing and everything as we were putting it together, and then they coat all of their parts really nicely, so this thing is feeling pretty damn smooth already, and I only have like maybe 100 rounds overall through this gun. Now moving back even a little bit further, I have the Krebs extended safety lever on here. This is something that I would like to put on all of the AKs that I own. It's just super convenient to flick that down with your trigger finger rather than reaching up here and trying to get to the part where a normal safety would be. We have the Battle Arms Development trigger in here. This is pretty damn close to like a mil-spec trigger. Not quite as light and crisp as the Geissele ALG, which you may have seen in some older videos of mine, but definitely effective. I wanted to try something new, and like I mentioned, this is sort of like a battle-ready rifle. As much as I love ARs, this thing has definitely opened up my love for the AK, and I'm hoping it treats me well through the rest of my testing here today. Custom laser etching on the mags. Rifle Dynamics put the SI logo on there. The Outdoor Adventure Culture. I got 3 30-round mags with this gun, and if you take a close look at the back of the receiver here, they even stamped my logo into the side of that just above the 704 pistol marking, so that is a super cool touch. For the pistol grip, like I mentioned, this is coming from Evolution Defense Group. It's sort of like a tree bark type of texture on there, and it feels really good in the hand. The more pressure you put on that, obviously the more aggressive it feels, and even if my hands were wet or muddy, I don't think that grip would give me any issue there. Now moving all the way back to the SBA 3 brace, you guys have seen these a million times, so I don't really have anything to say about that. And then, still pretty tight because this gun was just put together, but it does have a folding brace on there. So if you're running a rifle, it would be a folding stock adapter, but in this case, again, pistol, so it's a folding pistol brace on there. Now I think that's all that I really want to say about this pistol for now. I'm really excited to shoot it a lot more, so let's head back out to the range. We're going to shoot it from different distances, maybe run a drill or two, and then of course I'm going to throw the Dead Air Sandman S on there. I'm stoked. Let's go do it. So I just now realized that I did not bring a tool to adjust the gas on this thing. That's why I was having some issues right there. But since I already had this thing dialed in for a can, we're gonna throw the Sandman S on here. And now I almost guarantee this will solve the issues. It is chucking that brass. Or steel, I should say. I just broke my target. Now we're way back here at 100 yards. The targets are somewhere over there against the berm. Let's see how the accuracy is. I did just put a rough zero on this optic, but I think it might be close enough for 100 yards. First shot, count it. Do I even need to shoot again? Take back everything I've ever said about AKs not being accurate because I haven't shot one that was built this well. Maybe it's the person who built it. This one will be a little bit difficult, especially with the wind. Let's see if we can get that hostage swinger at about 60 yards. Got it. This thing is damn accurate. And last but not least, a mag dump for the Patreon squad. Whew. All right guys, back for some final thoughts on my custom build of the Rifle Dynamics 704 pistol. Let's start with the cons. There's really only two, and they were both my fault. First one being some of those malfunctions on some earlier mags there. I had this thing tuned for the can, and because of that, it's not ideal to shoot it without. If I had the tool, I could adjust it and set it to however I want to run the gun. But obviously, because I have the can that this is tuned for, I'm just gonna leave this thing on here and it's going to live on the pistol for probably the rest of its life. Now the second and only other issue that I had was that the can started coming loose a little bit. Could be my fault. I thought I had it on there as tight as could go, but as you can see around the can there, grabbed it with my gloved hand, and I'm glad I had my glove on because it was still a little bit too hot after even letting it sit for a little while, and I melted some glove onto the can. Adds character, I guess. Now for the rest of the gun, all of the pros, this thing is awesome. This is the first AK that has made me sort of second guess the AR AK debate. I think I'm kind of right in the middle now. When it comes to a USA made AK that I of course put together, so I'm a little biased there. But comparing this right up to an AR, I would be happy running either of these. Reliability has been great as long as I have my can on there or have the gas block adjusted accordingly. Shooting this with the can off was super manageable. I really like the muzzle device coming from dead air. The ergonomics on it feel great, although I'm not super accustomed to them. It's something that I got used to pretty quickly, especially with the red dot being mounted so far out. The light, obviously we're not going to get into today, but I have shown these lights in videos in the past. So I basically have this thing set up as a go-to pistol. The reason I wanted to set this up is because obviously recently it is super hard to get ammo, and up until even more recently, it has been pretty easy to get AK ammo. I've been shooting some steel case Wolf all day today, and it's much easier to find than 5.56. Generally it's coming in a little bit cheaper right now, so I think it's good to diversify your different calibers for the guns that you would actually use. As far as everything else goes on this pistol, I'm just super stoked with it. The guys killed it on the Midnight Shard camo, which of course matches my Tacoma. This has been one of my favorite patterns for a long time, and these guys knocked it out of the park. Now, the one thing that I have not hit on is the actual price for a build like this. It's going to really depend on what you pick and choose, but for a build your own Rifle Dynamics 704 pistol, you're looking at about $2,500, and then the price can fluctuate from there. If you ever have the opportunity, I would highly recommend going down and doing a build class with the guys down there in Vegas, because it was such a good learning experience. I was sort of AK illiterate in the past, but now I know so much more about this platform, and I'm stoked because I know how to work on it, maintain it, although they don't require much maintenance. And I'm really excited to run this thing possibly in a class in the future. I've never taken a dedicated AK class, but if I was going to, it would be this one. Now, speaking of AK events, Rifle Dynamics also has their Red October event coming up at the end of October, and I would highly recommend you guys check it out if you are into AKs. It seems like the attendance is going to be pretty good this year, so there's going to be a lot of cool people. I'm still on the fence if I can go or not because my travel schedule is so crazy. I hope I can make it though, because there's going to be some competitions, some really cool guns to shoot, and it's going to be a hell of a good time. I probably can't link to that in the description down below, but you guys can find that somewhere out there on the internet. Just search for Red October, OKTOBER. It's an event put on by Rifle Dynamics, and it should be a hell of a good time. You can probably go down there and shoot a 704 pistol if you want to test one out before you build or buy one of your own. So that is all that I have for today. If you guys have any questions on my RD 704 pistol build, let me know in the comments down below. I will try to answer anything as best as possible. Leave some likes, comments, share the video with your friends who are also into these type of things, because the more engagement we get, the more people who are supporting these videos, the more inclined I will be to make some more. So that's going to be all. If you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe, make new videos occasionally. As always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.